Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Friday, October the 6th, 2023. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, coming to you real live from your host, myself, Damon, the agent. As you all always know, I always like to start my show off with talking about what's going on in the wonderful world of real estate. So, today I am going to talk to you about investors' offers versus a loan offer. It's two different things, totally different. And I actually want to just talk to you about that because they've been coming up in conversation when I've been talking to people. And also, for example, I I'm sorry. I got to put my phone on do not disturb. I also was talking to an agent yesterday, and during the conversation with the agent, I kind of got a feel for their level of expertise. And what I mean by that is basically, I was explaining to her I just put a property on the market yesterday, and the property needs a lot of work, and it needs a lot of work. It's really for an investor because most people who come with a loan, unless they're using the FHA 203K or unless they're using a conventional renovation loan, it's not going to pass the regular guidelines. So, with that being said, when she was talking to me, we were talking about the price. So, for example, I put this property on the market for 500,000, and we were talking about the price. So then I also had another offer that came in that was substantially low. It was in the 350,000. It was a cash offer, but the person I was talking to, she was using a loan offer. So the agent, the person that I listed their house, they were speaking with several agents. So one of the agents had put the property on coming soon, and he had explained to me that they came through with investors and everything. So he put a low offer in the coming soon. So the agent I was speaking to, she was like, she saw it on the coming soon and it was priced at such and such. And I was like, yeah, that price was totally incorrect. So she was like, so the seller's not budging on the price. So I basically said, listen, you're talking about a loan. Okay. So the houses came in the market today. I said, most of the time when people are willing to negotiate on those prices so soon, they're normally cash offers and investors. I said, most people who are coming with a loan, you can't negotiate the same as you do with cash. I think what has happened over the years is so many people have gotten caught up into HGTV and all the things that you learn on TV, and they provide a lot of good information, but they also provide a lot of misleading information too. Real estate is always relevant to location, location, location. Remember that it's always relevant to location, location, location. But at the same time, when you're making an investor offer, investors normally offer cash. Okay, most deals that investors offer, they offer cash, and therefore they can then negotiate the price substantially in some cases because they're coming with cash. With a cash offer, there are no contingencies, and normally the price is reduced because they offering it in cash. No contingency. That means no inspection contingency, no appraisal contingency, and on top of that, they normally close within a quicker time period. Once title work has been cleared, once the title work has been cleared, they can go to settlement. That's the advantages of an investor offer, and that's why a lot of times they will make a lower offer than the list price because there are advantages when it's a cash offer. Now, when you're using a loan offer, such as an FHA or a conventional loan or even a jumbo loan, you have to understand there are contingencies associated with loans. And the reason why these contingencies are associated with loans is to protect the lenders. The lenders are going to make sure that, for example, with the home inspection, with the home inspection contingency, if there are any major issues, like for example, with a VA loan, VA must pass inspection in order to get approved, and that has a lot to do with the home inspection on that. So that's why a lot of times contingencies are put in place also to protect the buyer. And on top of that, when you're talking about an appraisal, all the lenders want to make sure is that the property is worth whatever the offer was made on the property. So for example, if you offer 600,000 and the property comes back appraised at 600,000 or more, it's good. That means you have instant equity and it's worth actual 600,000. But let's say hypothetically you made an offer for 600,000 and the property comes back worth only 450,000, even though you were willing to pay 600,000. Because you're going through the loan process, the lenders are going to protect their asset. And that house is their asset until you finish paying off the loan, which is 10, 15, 20, 30 years later. In most cases, 30 years later. So they're going to protect it. So because it's only worth 450,000, they're only going to want to pay 450,000, even though you want to pay 600,000. Now, here's the thing. In some cases, in very few cases, and I want to make this clear, in very few cases, buyers are going to pay the difference or something like that. At one particular time, buyers would pay the difference. But that's the reason why you have the appraisal contingencies put in place in the contract to protect the lender and also to protect the buyers. Because sometimes buyers say, you know what, we want the appraised value also. Even though the sellers want whatever they list the house for, lenders want to are only going to fund what it appraises for. And that's to make sure that you don't overpay for something that is not worth what it is. Now, again, I want to explain the difference and I am explaining the difference to you when it pertains to these offers, because some people got to miss and screw, especially people who use loans. Some people think, oh, I've been approved for a conventional loan. I've been approved for 500,000. Let me go make an offer for 300,000 on this house over here. No, because what you're doing as a buyer, you're really insulting the seller. Okay, you can't do that with a loan product. If you're offering cash, you can offer anything lower that you want. Sometimes those cash offers are insulting as well too. So, but what I'm saying, when you're especially coming with a loan product, that means you're not putting skin in the game like a cash offer is. A cash offer normally has a substantial down payment too. Like, for example, if a house worth 500,000 and they want to offer 400,000, and a lot of times they may put down, okay, we're going to put down 50,000, 100,000 down as their EMD, earnest money deposit. With a loan offer, you have sometimes some buyers who don't even want to put 1% down. So if the house is 500,000, 1% is 5,000. Sometimes the buyers don't even want to put 1% down because they don't really have it. That's why some of them go through the programs. So the programs are good and they're geared to help you, but a lot of times buyers who are buying properties, depending on if they're using a loan product, many of them are buying properties as a primary residential, or if they are using one for an investment, a lot of times it's a rental investment. Investors buy properties most of the time to renovate, flip, to make more money. So there are two different totally offers that are being made. The cash offers, you know what I'm saying, you can day one offer less. When you offer less, have a clear understanding that there are no contingencies, quick settlement, the buyer accepting property as is. With the loan offers, they are contingencies. Most likely settlement is anywhere from 21 to 30 days. And then on top of that, the contingencies are put in place to protect the lender and also the buyer. So you can't really offer at the same way that an investor does. So sometimes when people see things on HGTV, and they see, oh, well, we're going to offer them this, we're going to offer them that. What they're not fully getting as a clear understanding is, what type of offer are you offering that? Are you using a loan when you're making that offer? Are you sending over an approval letter for a conventional loan, or are you sending over a cash offer in which you're making these offers? Because depending on how the property is being financed is going to play a huge role as far as the terms and the condition, and also it being accepted or not accepted. But I really want people to get a clear understanding that investors' offers versus a loan offer are not the same. They are not equal in the same. Even if they're offering the same amount, they are not equal. Loan offers are normally, loan offers are normally with loans, FHA, conventional, VA loans, jumbo loans. Investors' offers are normally cash offers. They may use hard money loans, which is also considered cash, but it's a cash offer. They are not equal in any way, form, or fashion. So depending on the property, depending on the location, depending on the condition of the home, and depending on how you are financing, it is going to determine a whole lot when it pertains to that offer being accepted. But in a lot of cases, if you try to make an offer using a loan product like you would doing an investor's offer, 9 times out of 10, that offer is going to be rejected and the sellers are going to feel disrespected. So I'm just explaining this to you all so you'll have a clear understanding, because sometimes people don't have a clear understanding. And me as a, you know what I'm saying, as an agent who's been that way for 18 years, sometimes I speak to some agents, and I know that they're brand new or they're inexperienced, but just by what comes out of their mouth, just like the young lady yesterday. So I wanted to share that with you all, to let you know all loans are not created equal. I'm about to do my Q&A segment. If you all have any questions, please feel free to send them over right now so we can get into the Q&A. Hold on for 1 second. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go into my Q&A session. Let me see what questions that I may have today. Hold on for 1 second. Gotta find the questions. Okay. First question of the day is, if two people are married and one person's name is not on the deed and the other person passes away, but the person who passed away is the person's name on the deed, can the person who is still living there sell the house? Again, if two people are married and one person's name is on the deed and the person who passes away is the person name on the deed, can the other person sell the house? That's a good question. And it depends on their status. If they are married, yes, unless there's a will left by the person who passed away, specifically designating someone like such as a child as the person who will own the property. And then also, like I said, if they're married, because in many cases, if it's just, let's say, hypothetically, a boyfriend, girlfriend, and let's say the girlfriend passed away and the boyfriend was living in the house, but his name is not on the deed, then no, he can't sell the property. He can't sell the property because they're not married. So that's a good question. Okay. The other question is, if two people are not married and you want to add someone to the deed, can you do so after settlement? If two people are not married and you want to add someone on the deed, can you do so after settlement? The answer is yes. That's a simple fix. Most of the time, the title company that you went through as far as when you purchased the property, if you reach out to them, or any title company, I mean, you don't necessarily have to reach out to them, but it's easier to reach out to them because they already have your property address and everything on file. They can easily do a quick claim deed, just add that person to the deed. Now, if you're going to add them to the loan, you're going to have to understand you're going to have to go to your mortgage company, because the mortgage company is going to, run their credit, do all the basic finances stuff too. And even if you're just adding them, they still want to run the process. It's just like when people rent, units, and if anyone is over the age of 18 and the 18-year-old can be in college and they're not paying for anything, but because they're over the age of 18, they still got to provide their information. It's just a formality when it pertains to the way things are done. So yeah, that's a good question too. Okay. What is today's interest rate? What is today's interest rate? Honestly, I don't know, but I'm going to look it up for you. Okay. Interest rate today, as of Friday, October the 6th, 2023, the mortgage interest rate is 7.86. Again, 7.86. So, since, let's look at it for an example. Since June, which was a couple of months ago, the interest rate has gone up almost a whole point. It started at 6.89 and we're at 7.86. So that's almost a whole point that the interest rate has gone up. But here's the thing about interest rate. They go up, they go down. When it pertains to buying a house, I would say to buy if you can afford the monthly mortgage payment, and to refinance, because what happens is, as while you're waiting on the interest rate to go down, prices haven't gone down. So if prices stay where they are and they're slowly going up, by the time they go down and you get that lower interest rate, but you have a higher amount on the house, which one do you think your mortgage payment is going to be lower? Be lower right now because you can always refinance. You're not going to be refinanced the purchase price later on. Only thing you can do is pay down on it. So look at the big picture. Always look at everything. And I actually heard when there was one guy who was talking, and he said he had like 4 rental properties and none of his interest rate were below 7%. None of them. So here's the thing. You can still get a good deal out here, but you just have to pay attention to all of the numbers, because when it pertains to all of the numbers, it's not just one number. So let me see what other question might be out there. Hold on. Change is coming. Oh. Okay. All right. Alicia says, how long does an appraisal last? How long does an appraisal last? Okay. That's a very good question. Here's the thing. When it pertains to properties, most appraisals are stamped against that property for 6 months. And what I mean by stamped against that property, meaning, for example, today is October the 6th, right? So 6 months from now will be April 6th, I believe. So if a person was to, let's say hypothetically, a seller was to get an offer put on their property, and if they get the offer put on their property, they get an FHA buyer. And with that FHA buyer, the appraisal is done and it's stamped on that property as of October the 6th. And then there's an issue with the appraisal that goes on, whether it's price. Say the appraisal came in lower than what the offer was on the property. So because the appraisal came in lower than what the offer was on the property, let's say that the seller say, well, you know what, my house is worth $500,000. I don't agree with the appraisal of $450,000. I'm just going to put my house back on the market. Here's the thing. That seller cannot accept another FHA buyer, even if that buyer want to offer them more than what the original offer was. The reason why is because that FHA appraisal is stamped against the property for 6 months. And the thing about it is, though, is, you have to take that into consideration when it pertains to a lot of things. The other question is, can the homeowner get a second appraisal done if they believe the first appraisal is inaccurate or too low? Going through the lender, yes, they can get it done. They can get it done, but a lot of times, unless they're using a different loan, for example, that appraisal is going to come back the same. If it's an FHA loan and FHA appraisal came in low, and then they get another appraisal done, they can get one. The seller can pay for a separate appraisal, but 9 times out of 10, the appraiser who goes out there the second time is going to see that the appraisal was done under the first time. And a lot of times they don't make much adjustments. Now, I have seen where, let's say hypothetically, a FHA loan was done or a conventional loan was done. And then what ended up happening was that another loan product came in and they did an appraisal with the other loan, and then they came in slightly higher. So if what I'm saying, so you can test that theory if they believe it's substantially low, but I will run the comps to see if that appraisal is off or not. In some cases, the appraisals can be off, because recently there was a appraiser who came, and the appraisal was not a local appraisal. They came from like Pennsylvania. I understand we're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So they came down and did an appraisal, and the appraisal was totally off. So you can have some people who are not even from the area and do an inaccurate appraisal because of the fact that they're getting paid and the lenders just randomly shoot stuff to people, because real estate is always local. So keep that in mind. Should the seller lower the home price of the appraisal come in lower than what's listed? Depends on how motivated the seller is. If the seller is motivated and they really want to get that property sold, for example, if appraisal came in low, I'm just going by these questions. If an appraisal came in low, so if it came in low, why didn't they accept that offer if they ain't tripping off the appraisal right now? Because if they lower the price lower than the appraisal that came in that was listed, then it sounds like they're extremely motivated. So if they do that, they need to actually advertise it's been appraised at 450 and they're pricing it, let's say, at 440 or 435 or 425 or whatever they're praising it at, they need to advertise it to let people know. But at the same time, by them lowering the price, and I don't know how much different it is when it pertains to lowering the price from the appraisal that came in, but if it's substantial, then it's going to come off like the seller is extremely motivated. So you may get an offer that's actually lower than what they lower it down to. So always keep that in mind and take that in consideration when you are doing that as far as the appraisal is concerned. But the appraisal is going to sit on that property for 6 months from whenever it was done. Yes, the seller can get a second appraisal done. That's going to cost them the relatively $500-$600. So if I was the seller, I would basically look at the appraisal, look at the comps, have my realtor to run comps to see if there's anything justifying the price that it was listed as, because the realtor should be able to provide that. And then at the same time, go from there. And then also when it pertains to should they lower that price, I would hesitate on lowering that price lower than the appraisal amount unless that seller is really motivated, unless that seller is really trying to get rid of that property, because it's going to come off like they really, you know what I'm saying, kind of like, you know, like I said, motivated eagle, or, you know, desperate in some people's eyes. It just really depends on the pricing. So I don't know without, you know, seeing that pricing. So thank you for all the questions. I appreciate every week when I do the Q&A. The Q&A is question and answers, and I like answering these questions because a lot of times these questions are what other people sometimes, you know, think or have thought or will have, you know, a situation like it in the future. So I like to always help people to address those issues and concerns. So I thank you for all those questions that you have coming in. You're welcome, Alicia. And I will be right back with my topic of the day, which is daddy issues. All right. Thank you all for joining me back. Well, I got a topic of the day, and I'm not going to spend all day on it, and it is called daddy issues. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I ran into a young lady this week, and ironically, she has the same birthday as one of my daughters, the exact same birthday. They born the same day, month, year, and not even far from the same. They both were born in DC. So she was having an issue with her father. And we you know, I was at a hibachi place, and all of a sudden the group started talking. It was just random, you know what I'm saying? One of the guys said, you know, God connected us to talk about it. But the young lady, you know, she grew up with her father, but she doesn't have a good relationship with her father. So I told her that a man in the house is not necessarily a man of the house. And at the same time, I told her a lot of times, depending on how men grew up, because as men, a lot of times we have such high expectations on us, whether we're fathers or just being a black man or in general. But sometimes people don't know what we go through psychologically, what we go through mentally, physically, you know, spiritually, emotionally, everything. So I was telling her, and I was sharing with her that you know, you can have a father, you know what I'm saying, who present isn't, you know what I'm saying, felt, because, you know, some people are in the house, but like I said, they're not of the house. And I also shared with her, like, you know, some of my experiences when I was growing up and everything, because being a male doesn't necessarily make you a man. See, the one thing that I also told her is a lot of times, you know, especially females, they thrive off communication. They thrive off of that a lot, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your siblings, whether it's your children, you know what I'm saying? A lot of females thrive on that. Some men do not know how to express themselves through communication. You know, we grew up in a way as far as being masculine, as far as, you know, basically just showing our physicalness as far as whether it's our presence or our sternness or what we do. But a lot of times, you know, when it pertains to the opposite sex, from men, they need a lot of mentally nurturing. You know what I'm saying? Like as a man, like sometimes when men are in relationships, and they have issues with their lady, they'll try to have sex with her and think that will always solve it. That won't always solve it. Yeah, they'll enjoy it, but that's not going to always solve the issue. When you have like men who have daughters, when they don't communicate with them, a lot of times, like that young lady, they sometimes seek validation, outside of their own parent, their own father. They don't talk to them and everything, because sometimes their fathers won't talk to them, because one of her issues was she said her father won't talk to her, or she talked to him, he'll get up and walk away. And I just said, what I'm saying, like, that made me just think that, wow, it's too many immature grown men stuck in time to where they were traumatized. Because when you look at a lot of people, and as myself, I'm 51 years old, when I look at a lot of people that I grew up with and I hold conversations with, they're still stuck back in school. And when I say school, I'm talking about elementary school, middle school, high school. That's where they at. Middle school was called junior high school where I was coming up, but they're still stuck mentally there. And sometimes I wonder why. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times as us growing up, we get so traumatized that we're stuck in that place that something happened, whether it's something that happened at home, something that happened in the street, whether it's something that happened in a relationship. We're still stuck because a lot of people have not grown up mentally. We're of age, whatever age that may be, 40, 50, 60 years old. But mentally immature wise, a lot of people are really still immature. And I explained that sometimes people don't grow up, and sometimes people are stuck in situations. See, one thing about us as a community, of many Black people, we're still traumatized, and we have the after effects of slavery affecting nearly all of us, from our ancestors. That's why we have the behavior that we have out there in society, where people don't know how to act. They act like uncivilized wild animals. That's why everywhere you go and it's a crowd, a lot of times Black people get into fights with other Black people. You understand? That's why a lot of Black people don't like to see other Black people succeed. But yet they want to thrive and they want you to support them, but they don't support you. It's because of the trauma that our grandparents and great grandparents and great grandparents have had, and we haven't dealt with our trauma. See, a lot of us don't go to therapy. A lot of us don't go to counseling. A lot of us always say, I don't want people in my business and everything. But here's the thing. People going to get in your business anyway. When you start acting up and acting a fool and stuff like that, it's indirectly going to affect your neighbors, people on your job, your loved ones. So why not go sit with someone who don't even know you and talk to them about your situations and your issues? Because again, as men, we are affecting a lot of society because we're not being men. When it pertains to a lot of people, especially women who have these daddy issues, it's because some of their fathers walked out of their lives, but some of their fathers were in their lives, but weren't really in their lives. Like, what I'm saying? Like I said, you can have a man in the house, but not a man of the house. You can have someone who's around, but if they don't talk to you and connect to you to share their inner thoughts and inner, experience, then sometimes you miss out. So I say that to say that there's so many people out here, male and females, that have daddy issues and don't even realize it and stuff. Like I said, that woman was 24. Her father been around her entire life. She doesn't have a good relationship. So just because you don't have your father in your life doesn't mean you're going to have daddy issues. But at the same time, just because your father's not in the life don't mean you can't have it, because there are a lot of good male mentors, such as coaches in sports. That's one of the benefits of putting your kids into sports, is because they get a male role model, male figure, male guidance to help them to deal with the challenges of life, and they build a great and good relationship with those coaches as well too. And that's just like you can have some people who have stepfathers, like Shaquille O'Neal. He had a great stepfather that he actually claimed as his father. And then when his biological father tried to come around when he became famous and everything, Shaquille O'Neal didn't want to have anything to do with him. And he felt bad for his little brother that his father had another son. He felt bad for his little brother because he knew that how that was going to affect him. But all I say is, when it pertains to men, I just want to just challenge all men to be a better father to your kids, whether your kid is 1, 31, 51, 61. If you are still alive as a man and you have kids, please reach out to your kids just to say, I'm thinking about you, just to say hello, just to say I love you, because you don't understand the impact as a father that you have on your children. There are plenty of children who never had a relationship with their father, and the one time or the few times they saw their father or spoke to their father, they gave the world, they thought the world of it. And when their fathers passed away or no longer here, they have those memories of that one time. So as a father, you're very impactful to your kids, especially your daughters, whether you see it or not. You know, what I challenged that young lady to do was to go ask your father whenever you speak to him, say, Dad, how would you feel if other men treated me the way you treated me? Would you like it? You know, I don't know if she's going to ask that, but I say that to say is it's too many people out here who are going through so much. There's too many people who have unresolved issues growing up, you know, and it has a lot to stem from their mother and their father, especially a lot of the fathers, because a lot of the fathers weren't around or didn't take the time to invest in their children. Because what you have to understand is time is more valuable than money sometimes, a lot of times, because when you pour time into your children, doesn't matter how much money you have, because that money's going to come and go. But what you pour in them their first 18 years of their life is going to stay with them forever. So you can pour $1 million in them their first 18 years. It's not going to be that as impactful as the time that you put into them. You can spend a million hours. It's going to be more, you know what I'm saying, productive to your children than $1 million. Look at Steve Harvey kids, for example. His grown kids always said that, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't there. He didn't do a lot of stuff, but he provided financially for them. So the only thing I like to say is, again, a man in the house is not necessarily a man of the house. You can have a father who present isn't felt, while you can have a man of the neighborhood like a coach and everything, and their presence is really felt. And as men, being a male doesn't make you a man. Having kids doesn't make you a father. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it makes you a father, but it doesn't make you a dad or a daddy. So my point is, though, there's a lot of people out here with daddy issues, and we can help to resolve these things with a lot of people if we as men took the time to just reach out to the seed that you brought into this world. Because here's the thing, these kids ain't asked to come into this world. You know, as a man, I have 5 kids, 4 girls, okay, 4 girls. And the one thing that I always try to do is be available for my children, whether they want it or not. I just always try to be there. My daughters can call me if they want to talk. I reach out to them. You know what I'm saying? You know, I pay attention to what they do. I try to educate them. You know, it's a lot that as men, we can be very impactful to our daughters. Because here's the thing. A lot of times when we do things to women, as men, we don't think about what if those things was done to our daughters, and we wouldn't like it, because all of us as men have done things to women that we wouldn't want it. We'll kill somebody if they did it to our daughter, but yet we've done it to someone else's daughter, and we don't think about that. And a lot of times when it pertains to these women, some of them are seeking out because, yes, they get attention from men that they never got from their father. I just saw something on Instagram yesterday where there's a young lady who moved to Colombia. She did a one-way ticket to Colombia, and she met this guy. Excuse me. And she said she didn't grow up with her father, and that she's never had a man to cook for her. This man was cooking for her, catering to her, showing her affection. She's there. She's kind of, her face got blown up and everything. He started pampering her together, healing her and stuff. She fell in love. She's there. She, because of the attention she never got for her father, she went to another country and got the attention from a stranger in a week that changed her whole life. So as a father of kids, especially daughters, if you invested, excuse me, if you invested a little bit of time into your children, just speaking to them that you do on social media, strolling through, looking at all the Instagram models with the big behinds and, you know what I'm saying, the pretty one. If you invested half the time just to reach out to your kids and say, hey, what's going on, baby girl? I'm just thinking about you. How's your day? Guess what? I just want you to know that I love you. You don't even know how impactful that will be, but guess what? It's very impactful, because whether people say it or not, sometimes people bottle up their feelings and they don't say what's going on, but people are hurt. You know, as people, we all want to be loved by both of our parents because they brought us into this world. And sometimes it's a thin line between love and hate. You love your parents so much that the one who hurt you the most, you'll hate them as much as you really should be loving them, and that because of the hurt. So the level that of hate that people have for their parent is the level of love that they really wanted to have for their parents. So I just want to end this when I say daddy issues. fathers, regardless of what age you are, be a better father to your kid as long as you're on this earth. I don't care if you're 80 years old and you have a 50-year-old or 60-year-old child, and especially a daughter. Please tell your daughter that you love them. Please share and let them know that you care about them, because you don't understand. They can be 50 or 60 years old still going through issues. That's why you have some of these women who 50, 60, 70 years old still want to go to the club, still think they got it like they had it when they was 20. Now, it's not that, but some of them still have a void in them that they have never healed or gotten over. So they seek that attention and validation because many of them never got it from their father. So the only thing I say is please help eliminate daddy issues, because there's so much daddy issues going on out here. And as men who are fathers and have girls who call them daddy, please understand you're part of the problem, because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I just wanted to touch on that when it pertains to daddy issues, y'all. I pray that a lot of people who go through the issues with their fathers, that they can get resolved, and that a lot of men can have a better relationship with their daughters, you know what I'm saying, regardless of the age of your daughter, because just because they're grown don't mean that they don't need their parents. They do. So I just wanted to share that real quick. I'm going to come back with my closing remarks and I'll be right back. Well, I want to come back and do my little closeout. I'm going to do a recap. I talked about investors offers versus a loan offers. Investors normally offer cash offers, and cash offers rule supreme. You can negotiate better, and there is no contingency. It's being properties born as is, and they can settle quickly, normally within 10 to 14 days. With a loan, you have contingencies, your settlement takes longer, and you can't lowball. It's not the same. So please take that into consideration whenever you're making offers, depending on the property, the condition of the property, what type of way that you're financing it. All that's going to play a huge factor in whether your offer gets accepted or rejected. And I also answered a few questions. I always appreciate the Q&As, which is the questions and answers. Please always have those coming in, because of the fact that, people have the same question as you, but they don't always ask them, or they can't ask them. And then also I wanted to talk about daddy issues. The thing with daddy issue is, as fathers, our daughters really want to call us daddy, but a lot of them out there calling other people daddy. And in some cases, it's because they never had a daddy. So I just want to say that please be better to your daughters, because daughters were sent to fathers as angels. I always felt like, and some people always say, oh, when you got all them girls, what you get girls for? You must have did some women wrong. No, I don't think that's the case. I think daughters were sent for their fathers, because no one is going to love a father or a man like their daughter does. And I felt like daughters are going to be the one that always take care of their fathers, especially if their fathers take care of them. So fathers, be a better father to your kids, but especially your daughters, because whether you realize it or not, some of your daughters have daddy issues. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please follow me on all social media platforms. Hashtag is always Damon the Ager. I appreciate each and everything that you'll always do. Follow me below. And we're in October, y'all. It's going to be Halloween soon. Thank you all. Have a great weekend, and I appreciate you all.